Yes, people, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I wholeheartedly offer whatever suits your time zone. More importantly, it is a blue morning. So thank you for tuning in, wherever you're tuning in from, whether Facebook, whether Twitch, whether Twitter. I appreciate you all, and I thank you so much for providing so much value for this to this channel. And today it's going to be an interesting, but more importantly, an important topic. One that concerns our beloved club, our great club, Chelsea Football Club, and I am happy to have a friend and a brother, somebody who understands the club very well, knows the structure, knows about so much about the club's finances and how the situation, the Ukraine-Russian crisis, could or may affect the club. That is, if the British government decides to sanction oligarchs, that's how they refer to them. Those they believe that associates or somehow has business to do with Mr. Putin. Stab, welcome to the show.
Hi, Coachila. Thanks for having me on. Let's see if we can educate people and maybe calm down some concerns about the club in Roman.
Yes, it's important to educate people and calm them down so they know nothing will go wrong. I believe so. I deeply believe so. Go ahead, Stab. Sorry.
That's okay. Right. Before I get into the nitty-gritty, I want to give some background. Okay, it's a bit political, but let me say from here and now that I in no way support anything Putin's doing. The guy's crazy, right? His motives, it's not relevant to this situation. But let me see, how can I put this? I'm going to give you some political background to the main people in the English Parliament who are creating the problems. Okay, so we can see the hypocrisy of a couple of the people who are mainly trying to kick Roman. First person who brought Roman's name up in Parliament was a woman called Margaret Hodge. Now, she was a former leader of the Islington Council, which is up near Arsenal's ground, and she tried to close the local synagogue just so you can get an understanding of her hypocrisy, right? She tried to close a synagogue, and former Labour leader Jeremy Corbyn fought her and stopped him, right? And then she went on to call him a racist and anti-Semitic. She was born in Egypt. She's worth millions, right? She's not your normal Labour politician. She's worth millions, and the millions that she's accrued came from her family business, where she worked in South Africa selling steel and iron ore and things like that for the apartheid regime. So she's got no place to be talking, right? And she turned around.
Let me get this. You said she was during the apartheid regime in South Africa, or where?
She worked for the family business in South Africa, yeah, and they worked for the apartheid government, selling steel and iron ore, the same sort of stuff that Roman was involved in, right? So she was the first to mention Roman in Parliament. And she said he's a kleptocrat and he should be punished like the rest of them. He stole the fortunes of the Russian people. So I've only mentioned the South African bit to show what a hypocrite she is. Yeah, right. That's the only reason I've mentioned her. She's gone quiet now, right? Because I'm pretty sure that she doesn't want too much publicity because of her own past. The other one is a guy called Chris Bryant, also from Labour. He's a former Anglican priest who stopped because he's, and this is not a criticism of the fact he's gay, he is gay, and he advertised on a gay dating site just wearing his underpants and stuff like that, and he got a lot of stick because of that, and a lot of abuse in the media. Now he's the main person, the main problem. Okay, but just to show, right, that he'll get mentioned later on. Yeah, so I'll move on. Obviously, everything's down to Boris Johnson, who's the Prime Minister. Yeah, and his situation is that he's like he's got many traits that Putin has got: self-serving, image building, worried about their reputation, that kind of thing. Yeah, and anybody who knows anything about the British news knows he's been investigated by the police for Partygate. I don't know if you know anything about that, but people in the UK will know about him. And now he's not going to do anything against Roman, right? Because
okay, let's follow the. I have a few questions for you, so that way I know you've educated us on why the person that started that raised the subject in the parliament, so to sanction Roman, or even take away his club from our beloved club from him. You've told us why you think. Do you think it's more like him or her fighting, trying to get revenge on Roman or something?
No, I think she's got a bad. If you're on about Margaret Hodge, she's got a bad image herself, and she's just trying to clean up her image by calling
so probably
him.
Now, probably she'll be singing up, because there is some measure of blowback. She sees things in the media. She probably has looked deep down and see, okay, I can't get this to work, and probably would
she's backed up. She's backed up.
Would just already just end up bringing up her own issues, because you've explained dating back to the days of the apartheid how bad of a person she was. But let's start with this, right? If you don't mind, let's answer this question first. Roman, is he a politician, or has he at any time been into politics?
Yes, but not in Parliament.
No, I know it in Russia. He was into politics.
Yeah, he was, but he wasn't a member of the Kremlin. He was governor of an area called Chukotka, something like that, right? And he was the governor, and also he was the leader of the local Duma, which is like a localized parliament for that area. So he was head of that. And basically that lasted for about 10 years, 2003 to 2013. He bought the local ice hockey club and turned them into a reasonably good side, a bit like he's done with us. Not as successful as Chelsea, but he has had involvement in politics.
But he's not. Is he okay? Let me ask it this way.
No. He's not anything.
He's not a career politician.
No, he's not a career politician.
That answers the question, and that's important to establish. Now, the next question for you, Stav, is okay. I don't know. Are you well acquainted with his relationship with Putin?
Well, yeah. I mean, I was going to bring this up anyway. The situation is this, okay? Roman acquired his companies, including Sipneft and some steel companies, stuff like that, right? When the old USSR was disbanded, right? But I mean, that wasn't under Putin. Putin came later, right? So anything dubious you can throw at Roman, right? Is only the fact that he bought the companies on the cheap, okay? But that applies to billionaires all around the world. It's not a Russian thing, right? There's a lot of billionaires around the world who've took advantage of certain things.
Their connection in higher places. I think in business. Just 1 second. I think in business it always happens all around the world, like you said, and I thank you for putting it that way. Billionaires do that all the time. It is not just Roman. It happens in
Mhm.
America. I believe it happens in Britain. It happens in Nigeria, where people use their connection to get things for cheap.
Yeah,
You understand? So I appreciate you saying that. Go ahead, Stav.
yeah. The point is, he got them for cheap. They were failing companies anyway. Obviously, they were run by communists, right? It was designed for the state, but when they broke down, yeah, right. Um, he's not the only one. Okay, he's not the only one. Now, the situation is this: just like any other big businessman, right? He, I've seen just Viola's comments. He helped the people of the place where he was governor. I'll mention that in a bit, right? That is included in what I'm going to say about him. You have to. He pays his taxes. Okay, his mentor, who was Berezhevsky or something like that, didn't pay his taxes and ended up in jail. Okay, so he's paid his taxes in Russia. He's remained sort of friendly with Putin because you have to, right? I'll answer Herbert's question in a bit. Okay, you have to, don't you? When you've got a country like Russia with a leader like Putin, you've got to pay lip service, haven't you? Okay, so obviously he's paid some lip service. They work together to get the World Cup as well for Russia. So yeah, they do come into contact, right? The British media are using photographs of them sat together, but that could have been for anything. It could have been for the World Cup, right?
It could have been for the meeting they had when he was still governor.
Yeah, that sort of thing, right? So that's what you have to do, don't you? You have to keep despots. I'll call him a despot, Putin, right? You have to keep them. You have to keep them on side, right? And if you have to pay some lip service to survive, right? That's what you do. I'm pretty sure with that. I'll give you an example. Richard Branson, okay? You know who Richard Branson is? Virgin Air, Virgin Atlantic, yeah? Virgin Atlantic. He also purchased some railway stock and railway lines, and he's also involved in Virgin Medical Care, right? And he purchased 72, I think it was, NHS properties on the cheap. See what I mean? On the cheap. Okay. Right? Plus, he's received, whereas Roman didn't, he's received government grants and funding, yeah, in tell Herbert to hold on with them questions. Slow down.
No, we're not going to the question yet. I'm just going through them, and I'm highlighting the ones we will touch.
He's asking questions which are included.
Yeah, we will reach out to the questions.
Right, I'll answer them as I go along. Right, anyway, so lost my train of thought. Yeah, so you have to pay lip service to these people. It's the only way you can function, operate, and keep your businesses and keep out of the trouble. Obviously, if you don't do what you have to do, you end up in jail, like his mentor, Berezhevsky, right? So you have to do that. But anyway, get back to Richard Branson. He's had government funding, which comes from the taxpayer. So basically, he's taken the taxpayers' money to fund his companies, yeah, to develop them and make a profit for himself, right? Unlike Roman, he doesn't pay taxes, right? He's a tax exile, okay? Whereas Roman paid his taxes. So going back to what Margaret Hodge said about him taking the Russian people's money, right? At least he's paying his taxes, okay? He didn't take anybody's money. He just got the companies on the cheap. By developing those companies, yeah, it means he's given more people work, right, and jobs, okay? So he's putting the money back in, right? He's put money into various different things within Russia, right? Schools, things like that, okay? Certain charities and things like that. Going back to Chukotka, where he was the governor, he spent 2 billion of his own money, right, developing the area and helping people in that area. Okay, 2 billion of his own money, not 2 billion taxpayers' money, 2 billion of his own money. Okay, and that's giving people work. It's looking after people, right? So he hasn't stolen anything from the people because they were floundering companies, right? You have them in America, you call them asset strippers, right? They buy a company, strip the assets, right, and sell them, and then you move it on, right? Or you develop the business and you sell it for a massive profit, right? It's not a new thing, right?
So now the question overall, it's not like he has it's not like Roman Abramovich has a long-lasting relationship with Putin.
No, it's not like they're friends. He does what he has to do.
So clearly they're not friends. It's just he was once a governor in a Russian state, and probably during that period, chances are they speak more often because he's a governor of a state where
obviously he has to
communicate with the president.
Communicate with the president, right?
And also we talked about, I'll ask you the next question. Also, we talked about how he acquired his company. He used his connection with Putin and got it for a cheap, which every business does. If you have
it wasn't Putin.
It wasn't Putin. Not even Putin. So yeah, so that doesn't how his company has nothing to do with his relationship with Putin. Again, so now we've established that Roman Abramovich is not a career politician. Yes, he was once the governor of a state in Russia, but that doesn't make him a career politician. I think after then, since his focus has been his business and also the charity work that he's doing globally. He's putting so much against anti-Semitism. Roman Abramovich is putting so much against discrimination of all sorts. Even during the pandemic, he spent a lot of money. The hotel was given to the NHS to house them, feed them for free. And I think it was in 2020, Chelsea emerged as one of the most generous clubs in the UK. And they don't talk about these things. They don't talk about how helpful Roman Abramovich has been to the UK government. All they know is to always find a way to try to dent his, tarnish his image, or get people to hate him, or maybe get him to sell the club. So, Stab, I'm happy that this conversation is with you, and I'm happy it's not a debate because we know the truth about the man, and I think we all love him. So the next question for you is this. We want to, or maybe if you want to add anything else about his.
Let me say,
yes, go ahead.
It's just like any successful businessman, right? He's no angel, okay? He's no angel, right? There'll be questionable business practices, right? And you've got to be tough to make millions, right? No different from Branson, no different from Trump, right? No different from Dyson, the guy who makes the well-known vacuums and things like that, right? Yeah, all these people, are all tax dodgers, okay? They're all evading taxes. There's another guy, Sir Keith Ratcliffe, who owns Enos, which is something to do with Shell. He's got Range Rover or Land Rover, something like that. He's moved his operations to France, right? He's making millions out of Britain, but he lives, down Monte Carlo way. So that means he's a tax evader, right? So there's all these people paying nothing, but making millions out of the people in the countries where their businesses function. Okay, right? Now, a thing I should point out, and most people know, especially people in Britain, right, that there's Russian money in the government, goes into the government coffers. Okay, the wife of a Russian oligarch paid 160,000, I think it was, pounds just to play tennis, right, with Boris Johnson. But we all know it's nothing to do with tennis. It's to do with putting money into the Conservative Party's coffers because they have to function from donations. But wait, and it also gets her his ear. Okay. Now this is relevant, right? This thing regarding Russian money going into the Conservative Party leaves them open, right, to criticism, looking at people looking closer at the money, right? The Labour Party have brought it up, the Scottish Nationalist Party brought up the Russian money, but they want to avoid that. They don't want the discussions, right? So they're trying to avoid
let's not
that.
make it too much. Let's not make it too much of something that will derail us from talking to our beloved club owner and Chelsea Football Club. Let me bring it to this question now before this comment here, before I ask you the next question. This comment states a scapegoating 101. I think it just seems as if Roman is being scapegoated because the Arabs that bought Newcastle United, there were concerns all over the world in the UK, and it wasn't. They didn't take it seriously.
I can answer that as well. Right, I can answer that one as well.
Because PMs, go ahead.
I can answer that as well, right? First of all, right, I'll answer this. Then I want to go back to that Chris Bryant because I need to show something else as well, right?
I didn't just want you to go deep into it because the whole thing would just derail us from where it concerns our club. But go ahead, go ahead.
No, I'm going to explain to you why it's not gone further, despite him continuously prodding. Okay, right? So that I need to mention him and reasons why nothing. I don't think anything's going to happen. Right now, what was your question again? Tell me the question. Scapegoat.
And again, let's not give it away because that's a question that asks how it will affect Roman and Chelsea Football Club. So let's not give away why anything is not going to happen or why anything will happen.
Scapegoat. Scapegoating. Right?
Talk about the scapegoating thing. Yeah. Right. Is he being scapegoated because the people that bought Newcastle United, nothing was done to stop them, even though there are people in their country are working on the worst conditions. They've been dehumanized, but yet they were able to purchase the club.
It goes even further than that. Like, listen, right? He was scapegoated after the poisonings in Salisbury when the ex-Russian spy guy was poisoned, with Novichok. Right? Now, Theresa May was Prime Minister at the time. She needed to make somebody a scapegoat, to justify blaming Putin for it. Whether Putin was involved or not, I don't know. Can't be 100% certain because the West plays silly games as well. They play the blame game as well. Okay, right. So that's why Roman was scapegoated. That's why he had his tier 1 visa expired, and they wouldn't renew it. So he withdrew. He withdrew his information. He withdrew his application. Okay. Now he's got around that by going to Israel, getting Israeli citizenship, right? And he's got Portuguese citizenship as well. Okay. Getting back to to Saudi Arabia, right? We all know. Right, they've been the Crown Prince is the main shareholder of the company that's bought Newcastle from the Saudi Arabia. Right, we all know that he basically had a journalist executed, right, and dismembered. Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Now that's been ignored. Nobody's bothered about that. Right. Nobody's really pushed it. Not the British, not the Americans, not the EU, nobody, right? Because they have their own reasons. One of the reasons for the UK is that they sell billions of arms to the Saudi Arabians, okay? Right? It's business, it's money, right? Okay? It's money, right? I've seen the sanctions one, I'll deal with that in a minute. So with the Saudi Arabians, it's money, okay? Right? And because they neighbour near Israel, but they get on with Israel as such, openly anyway, right? And Israel's important to America, okay? And that's another reason why I don't believe Roman's going to be touched, but I'll touch on that later. So, consequently, right, you've got the amount of money that they get for weapons, okay, right? The arms companies, yeah, right? A lot of the current government MPs, the main ones, have shares in the arms companies, okay? So you sell the arms, yeah, right, to them. People in the government are also making money out of it.
So let's just put it in a simple way, so it doesn't take us down that is the path we don't want, because it's going to derail us. They have connections with those people.
Yeah,
they have
it's all
connections with
about
them.
money. It's all about
Exactly,
money.
all about money.
All
So
this,
now stop. Let's
the weapons that
understand.
yes.
That
they're going to send, that they've sent to the Ukraine. Yeah.
Okay.
An example, right? They've sent the weapons to the Ukraine. Somebody has to pay for them. They've been donated by the British government. Who's going to pay for them? Yeah, the public, from public funds, taxes, and things like that. Yeah. But again, the weapons have been sent to the Ukraine, and whilst they're helping the Ukraine, they're helping themselves, because they're again going to line their pockets. Yeah, right. This is all about money. It's about.
Okay, let's talk about now this question on the screen. How do the sanctions work? How does it work?
Well, Roman and all the other ones, the other oligarchs, have lost X amount, right, since the start of the invasion. But that's via business, okay, right? It's not like direct sanctions against them. So the ones who've imposed the most sanctions are the EU, okay, right? Britain has been a bit laid back. They've been more about giving them weapons and things like that, right? But there's a profit for them, for the government in that, right? The EU have started sanctioning Russia, but they're using things, like the SWIFT system for banking. Yeah, right. They've basically banned Russia from being able to use the SWIFT system, right, for the banking, which means they can't trade. So they can't trade with anybody. Okay. So that's hitting their businesses there. Also, businesses have been basically banned, right? Okay. From in their own countries from dealing with Russian companies, but that's a lot of companies have decided to do that themselves. That's how the sanctions work, by hitting people in the pocket, right? But the thing is, at the moment, right, the oligarchs are losing money because of their businesses losing money. They're not being directly hit as an entity.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So thank you for explaining that. So the sanction hit businesses, and these the oligarchs, they all have businesses all over the world, especially in Europe and outside their country. So the moment if the sanctions hit their business, then it hits their pocketbooks. That makes sense. And thank you for taking some time to explain that. Now let's bring it closer to our beloved club staff. Now the question is, can a Roman Abramovich lose Chelsea Football Club?
Given
that the woman suggesting that he shouldn't even own Chelsea.
No, forget her.
Tell us if there's that possibility for him to lose Chelsea Football Club.
No, forget her. She's a waste of space, Margaret Hodge. Right? Just forget her. The main problem is this Chris Bryant, okay? The one that I told you about, the ex-Anglican priest and that, right? Now, his boss, Starmer, the Labour leader, is taking money from Israelis, okay? So there's Israeli money coming in to the Labour Party. So they have to be careful how they deal with Israel and Israeli citizens, okay? So Romans play the blinder there by taking the Israeli citizenship, yeah? Right? He's played the blinder there. So Starmer, I don't think, is going to push by naming him individually, right? Whereas the other two did. And Bryant knows that he can't lose the company, the club, right? He knows they can't take it from him. So now he's changed approach. So he's now saying that he shouldn't be allowed to own it and he should sell it. Yeah, that's what his approach is now, is to sell it. Okay, right? They could, the only thing they could do to Roman, UK based, is that he's got a property worth between 150 to 155 million in Kensington. They could take that, right? But is that going to really hurt him? Okay, he's got a property in New York worth 90 million. He signed that over to his wife, ex-wife. Okay, so Roman, we all know Roman came over in October, November time, and I think that he's going to know what's sort of building up within Russia, and I think he's come over and he's put some business plans into operation, right, to avoid losing the club and the money. Okay, now he is owed 2 billion, okay, by the club. If he sells the club, he'll take that 2 billion back. Now I know that they're claiming that he could end up bankrupting the club. Yeah, why would he bankrupt the club? He's never asked for the money, has he? Okay, he's never asked for the money. Now the British government are going to know this. Right? They don't want, right, at this current moment in time, it doesn't suit them, okay, to take the club from him or to attack him directly, right? The government, this is the Conservative government, it doesn't suit them to attack him directly, right, or lose the club, because they're going to make people unemployed, okay, if they close the club down. They were to talk about laws coming in where Chelsea wouldn't be allowed to sell tickets, match day tickets to supporters, and Sky wouldn't be able to televise the games, this kind of thing, right? But that's all gone now. It's disappeared. Why? Because you're affecting Sky, aren't you? You're going to affect Sky, okay? People are employed by Sky. The contract with Sky for televised football, part of the money is based on appearances on Sky. So if
now let me make a point clear. I saw something from Herbert saying people are out there dying, and the concern is it says this comment that says people out there dying here, and football is supposed to be more important. Nobody said football is more important. And if you listened, even on a show where we weren't even talking about this topic, I did mention our thoughts and prayers with the Ukrainian people. Ukraine is a sovereign nation, so with all it's there to see that it's wrong to invade a sovereign nation for any reason whatsoever. We have a body, an international body that handles such situation. If you have an issue, you take it to them and sort it out in world court. But because Russia is a superpower, their leader felt like he could do it and get away with it. It is no good news to hear that people are dying from such conflicts that cannot be justified. That's what it is. So we're here talking about how it concerns Chelsea Football Club and how that can affect things. We're not in any way in support of what's going on there. So go ahead, Stav.
Yeah, and I made that point before I started. And I'm in no way supporting Putin and what he's doing, okay? The guy's crazy, right? Herbert's a Man United fan. They're now in trouble with Aeroflot being banned from flying to the UK.
Mm-hmm.
They're the major...
So let's take it away from politics and talk how
what I'm saying
us.
To you
that's what we're talking,
What I'm saying is that's how they're hitting football clubs, okay? Mm-hmm. That's the way they're hitting football clubs. They cannot, right, stop Nike, okay, from selling football kits and their sports gear around the world, right? They can't turn around and say to Nike, stop selling football kits. So that's different, because Aeroflot is a Russian company, so you can hit them direct by hitting a Russian company, okay? You can't say anything to 3 because it's a UK company, which is a shared sponsor, right? You can't say nothing to Trivago, which is the sponsors of our training kits. So all our sponsorship deals, right, are safe. Hyundai, you cannot say anything to Hyundai because they're worldwide. They're not a Russian company going into the UK. Nobody, absolutely nobody, is saying, right, that what Herbert said about people dying. Okay, my background is I'm Cypriot, right? Back in 1974, Turkey invaded Cyprus, right? So I know about it. My grandmother was one of the people killed by the Turkish force. So I'm not going to have any of that nonsense, right? Sorry, by Herbert and trying to turn this into something. This is a stream about Chelsea Football Club, right? And how it, and like you said, how it affects us. We're not discussing people dying and that. We're trying to like nullify that or belittle that or anything, right? The fact is that's down to governments, okay? They decide. We can have protests of football matches like there has been some where flags of the Ukraine flag's been flown, people have chanted no war and all this, right? And another thing I should point out is that Roman Abramovich's own daughter, right, took to social media, right, and protested against Putin, right? No war, right? His daughter did that. The daughter of another oligarch has done that. The Russian people, right, and even oligarchs don't want the war, right?
Yeah, because they're the ones that will suffer for it. So it's now, let's bring it to this.
It's not that. It's not just that. They don't, right? What you've got to remember is Ukraine, right? A lot of people in Ukraine have relatives in Russia. They have family in Russia and vice versa. They have friends in Russia. It used to be a USSR state, didn't it? Right? So there's a family involvement as well. The Russian people don't want it. British people don't want it. Nobody in the public all around the world wants that war, right?
Only politicians understand why they want it to happen. So now let's talk about this stuff. Let's talk about what we have on the screen so that we can move away to the Eden Hazard story.
Now, tell me what it says on the screen.
Yeah, I'll take you to it. Yeah, the screen says, so I want us to talk football here, but first let me take it back to this here. One of the very first comments, this one here, but we'll look at this as we talk about it. This one on the screen here says, let me look at it. It says Roman Abramovich has sanctioned insurance at $2 billion alone to Chelsea Football Club.
Yeah, right.
Now,
it's insured.
How is that? Yeah, go ahead.
The money that the club owes him is insured. Okay, right.
It's not like he bought an insurance. No, it's just that as the club owes, the club owing him money is a huge insurance. Go ahead.
So if they force him to sell the club or they take the club, he's getting that money back. So he's still going to end up with $2 million, right? And if he wanted to sell the club, right? A lot of people are saying, "Oh, he's trying to sell the club." I saw on Bloomberg saying that he's rejected an offer from an American company. Okay, right, and that he doesn't want to sell the club. If he wanted to sell the club, he would have done that when they revoked his visa. Okay, right. This Chris Bryan, his main argument is he shouldn't own the club, right? That now they've gone from sanctioning him to forcing him to sell it, right? You cannot force anybody to sell a company, okay?
Let's go into details, if you don't mind, Stav. Let's go into details with what Forbes wrote here. It says, as pressure mounts to punish oligarchs for Russian president, we know who he is, invasion of Ukraine. Roman Abramovich has a multi-billion-dollar insurance policy should the UK come after his assets, his beloved Chelsea FC. Look at what they're saying may happen here. It says the club Abramovich bought for around. Dad, you wanted to say something?
No, you know about the Forbes thing, right? The thing is the debt for the club is covered by that insurance, okay, right? they may try and force his hand and say, oh, you got to sell it, you got to sell it. They can't make him sell it. He can only choose to sell it. Okay?
Yes.
But forget
And if
that.
you force him, he could bankrupt the club.
Yeah, put people on the dole, right?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Upset the supporters, right? The fan base all around Britain. Don't think that Chelsea's fan base, right? We know about the worldwide fan base, okay, right? But the Chelsea's British fan base, which is Northern Ireland, Scotland, Wales, and England, right, is massive. Is massive, right? They will not do anything that is going to cheese off all these people because they want to win the next election, right? That's all Boris Johnson is. That's why I said he's similar to Putin in a way, because they're on about their own survival, making themselves look good, and their own ambitions.
Yeah.
Right?
So let's look at this part. Let me read this part now. I understand what you're explaining, Stav, and I don't mean to cut you up. This part says that is the money that Chelsea Football Club owe Roman Abramovich. What it means, it says Kieran Maguire, that is the person that is a soccer finance lecturer at the University of Liverpool, says that the money that Chelsea Football Club owes Roman Abramovich, it gives Abramovich no shortage of leverage in the UK. Depending on how deep the sanction might go, the worst case scenario for Chelsea fans is now on the table, which is if Roman wants, he gets his money back. He could call in the loan from Chelsea. Maguire says that means Chelsea goes out of business, and Putin will now come in and say, well, you started it. So it's actually a very, very complicated situation. It's not that simple. It's not that simple. And believe me, I don't think Roman will even feel it that he will not be happy because he loves the club. But the truth remains, if Roman calls in the loan, it will affect a lot of people in the United Kingdom. It will have people will go unemployed, will lose their jobs because he's employing a lot of people.
That was my point, right?
Yeah, exactly. And that could actually lead to some sort of demonstration by the fans. And then because I think if that happens, Roman calls in the loan and Chelsea goes out of business, people will angrily ask questions about the acquisition of Newcastle United, the acquisition of some other clubs, because it just seemed as if
Manchester City,
the American business owners, they're gathering like vultures. They want to see it happen, and they circling. They want to see if he's ready to sell. It's annoying. It just looks like the whole thing gets worse when it's Chelsea Football Club. Over to you, Staff, so that we can just move into the Hazard topic.
Yeah, it's worse because it's he's a Russian. That's all it is. It's worse because he's a Russian. Right? Like I said, at worst, right? His citizenship's been investigated in Portugal, okay? Because he got the citizenship under some old scheme which was based on giving displaced Jews, right, citizenship so they could move to Portugal, right? Now, that's been investigated. They could possibly take his mansion in Kensington, right? But he's not even going to feel that. He's not even going to feel that, is he? Right, 155 million. He's not going to feel it. And I'm quite sure with the amount of money he's got, he would be able to have a legal challenge, right? Anything that the British want to do to him, okay, he can challenge legally. He can do it in international courts as well, right? The Conservative government know that, okay? And that's why they're holding, not doing anything, okay? They're not doing anything. They're not doing anything of substance against Roman. The media and some MPs are targeting him, right, because he's well known, okay, right, and to build their own reputations. They're only worried about their own reputations. They want to make themselves look good, okay. There's virtually nothing they can do, right. And another thing, let me just touch on one other thing, okay. right, before we move on. Right, the stadium, okay, is owned by the club, right? Okay, but the CPO, which is a Chelsea Pitch Owners Limited, right? They have an agreement dating back to 1997, okay, that they repay the money that Ken Bates loaned to them, okay? So the club loaned them the money. This was Ken Bates. The best thing Ken Bates ever did was the CPO, okay? They loaned the CPO money, and it was based on paying the club back, right, so much per year. They're still selling CPO shares. 80% of the shares that they sell, right, goes back to the club, okay, to offset that. Now, that has transferred to Roman because Roman took on all the debt when he bought the club from Ken Bates, right? Anyone who's been to Stamford Bridge will know that the part of the stadium, it's the ground that they own, the actual ground that the stadium's on, okay, right? If you go to the stadium and you look around, like at the mega store, certain stands, the brickwork's a different colour, right? That marks the area that CPO is basically in control of. Now, in return, what they do is they rent that land, okay, back to the club, right, for what they call corn rent, which is some nominal fee. Okay, so CPO owned the club money that was loaned by Ken Bates. Okay, but the other thing is the CPO also owned the name Chelsea Football Club. Okay, so if Roman wants to move or tries to move to another stadium, this is why the attempt to buy Battersea Power Station failed. If he wants to move, he can't use the name Chelsea. Like, it's like a trademark which is held by the CPO. Okay, so anybody who's going to come in and try and buy the club is then going to have to deal with them as well, right? They're going to have to deal with the Chelsea pitch owners. Okay.
But do you think a yes or no answer? Do you think that with the pressure and everything going on now, do you think that Roman will ever consider selling Chelsea?
No, because he's had pressure before, hasn't he? Right? When they revoked his visa, tier 1 visa, right? And that's the other thing that idiot Chris Bryant is going on about. Any oligarch who has a tier 1 visa, right? Okay, should be made to pay some form of penalty or be punished or have a sanction against him, right? Now, because he's from one side of Parliament, he's basically attacking the ones who are giving money to the government. The oligarchs giving money to the government, right? He can't target Roman with that because Roman doesn't have a tier 1 visa. They revoked it. Okay, he could have walked away back in 2017 or 2018, I think. Could have walked away then. He was offered money for it by that Sir Keith Ratcliffe, who I mentioned earlier. He was offered money and he turned it down. Right?
So clearly, the man loves the club. So now let's just bring it back to overall, because we've established now. First, we talked about whether Roman is a politician, or let me say, that is a career politician, and the answer is no. Roman Abramovich is not a career politician. Roman was once the governor of one of the states in Russia. So logic and the structure of how governments are run means that he's had contact with Vladimir Putin, because he was a governor, or because they know each other from that time or something like that. And he has no long-term relationship with Mr. Putin or whatsoever. Yes, he acquired his company cheaply, but that happens in business. And we've also talked about how the sanctions work. And Stavia explained how the sanctions work is the sanctions target businesses.
Yeah,
and most of the oligarchs, yes, target businesses.
They're trying to target the oligarchs, right?
Exactly.
Okay? Right. But some of them are putting money into the government in the UK, right? Italy and Germany Okay, the EU they're the ones who like imposing a lot of the sanctions. Italy and Germany have not agreed to stopping that. Or what was that banking thing I mentioned earlier with an S?
I don't remember. But let me just, if you don't mind, let me just run through it so that we can move on to the hazard topic, because it doesn't.
Every country has its own agenda, right? They want to be seen to be helping, right? And some of them want to help, but not at the detriment, right, of themselves. Okay. Now, the other thing is, I mentioned earlier on about Keir Starmer and getting Israeli money. That goes back to why another reason I don't think he's going to be sanctioned. That's why they've moved to now, and the idiot trying to say he should sell the club, right? Because Britain has a lot. They sell weapons.
Here's the thing. I have to tell you this, actually. It just seemed as if they're being paid by some people whose interest is to buy the club, to like pressure him one way or the other. Because it's every time there's always they're talking about club owners in the UK. It's only Roman. It just seemed as if there's an agenda, and clearly it's become clear. It just seriously, it just seemed as if some of those PMs or whoever they are receive money to put pressure on him to see if he will decide to sell the club. But I think the guy deep down loves the club. So like I said before, we've talked about he's no long-time friend of Putin. He's not a career politician.
I'm not going to say that I'm not going to say that there's no sort of relationship with Putin, but it's business. It's a business one. He pays his taxes, right, to avoid being thrown into jail. He was an ex-governor. They were involved together regarding the application for the World Cup. Okay, right? So they're going to come into contact. As a governor, he would have to go, right, into the Kremlin and report back to the Kremlin how that area is doing, right? He would have to report to the parliament, the Russian parliament as well, just like any other governor would have to, just like any American governor is answerable for things in America.
So for people in the chat, please, especially Just Viola, if you're watching, please pay attention. I want to add timestamp to the stream when it's ready. Pay attention to when we switch topic to Eden Hazard, so when I can help people switch topics. If they don't want to watch this, they watch the next topic. So stop. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Let's quickly switch the topic. If we've gone almost an hour with this, and like Just Viola said in the chat, there's no better person to have this conversation than you, Stav, and that's why I love you, even though I love fighting you when we talk strictly football. Now, if we look at this now again, to finalize everything I've said, we've talked about that Roman is no career politician. He was once a governor in Russia, which means he must have had contact with Putin. Also, we've talked about all the good stuff he's doing in the UK, the charity, how he helped the NHS when COVID was, battering the United Kingdom. In 2020, Chelsea Football Club emerged as one of the most generous clubs in the UK. Chelsea is fighting racism globally. Chelsea Football Club is fighting discrimination of all sorts globally. There's the no hate campaign, or I forget the phrase for that. Chelsea is sponsoring that. Those things they don't seem to look beyond it, and it just seems as if, like I've said before, it just seems as if there's an agenda against the man. And again, I have to repeat myself. I'm in no way for what's happening there, the Ukraine-Russia crisis. Human lives are very important. That trumps football. We're just looking at things from a Chelsea perspective, how the situation could affect Chelsea. And now we also talked about this here, where it says Roman Abramovich has sanctioned insurance, a $2 billion loan to Chelsea FC, which we looked at it and learned that worse come to worse, if Roman doesn't love Chelsea, now he will call in the loan, and Chelsea will most likely go out of business, and that will affect a lot of people. It will affect even the fans globally. I know our opposition clubs would want to see that happen because they hate Chelsea Football Club so much because of the success we've had. We emerged, Chelsea Football Club, by the way, emerged as the most successful club in the United Kingdom. That was in 2020 or 2019. So they hate us so much that they'd like to see the man leave. They'd like to see Chelsea go bankrupt. They'd like to see Chelsea get relegated. But I know Roman loves the club too much. I don't think he will allow politicians use him as a pawn and then have Putin say, well, you started it. I don't think Roman Abramovich will call in the loan. We've seen him, the smile on his face whenever he's given the trophies that we've won. The last one, there are pictures of him circulating on the internet with the Club World Cup trophy. You could see the smile on his face. He loves the club so much that he's not going to let the politics get him to say, okay, I'll do this for you so that the British government will learn it is wrong to fight you. So now let's look at some comments here, and then we can switch to the next topic.
Can I just say something? It's not just the NHS. It's not just the NHS. He's put money into youth projects, right? Sending in these coaches out to do all around London, to do youth things with the kids, right? He's also give money and is involved with groups dealing with domestic violence, right? So it's not just the NHS. That was not the first thing that he was doing good for the area, okay? And also in Israel, right? He's pumped millions into building houses in Israel, right? But that's a debatable thing, okay? But we won't go into that one, right?
All right.
So now let's talk. He's important to Israel, and if you're important to Israel, right, you're important to the Tories, you're important to Labour, you're important to the Americans, right? Now, yes, the rival clubs, the supporters want to get rid of him for obvious reasons, okay? For obvious reasons, right? When he came, he put money into other clubs by buying their players, okay? Johnson, Cole, right? Wayne Bridge, okay? Other players, right? And that money was then circulated by West Ham to Nottingham Forest, who bought players from Nottingham Forest, then who then bought players from Blackburn. So the money, when he first came in, right, was being circulated. So he has helped in his own way of pumping money.
Now, let me ask you this question. This comments here are by Mikhail saying players wouldn't want to join Chelsea Football Club in current political environment. How is that possible? Is it something that would concern potential signings?
No, why? They want to. They're footballers. At the end of the day, they're footballers, right? They want to win things. They want to make a living and all that kind of stuff, right? They're footballers. They're not politicians. We cannot stop what's going on.
No, here's the thing. Let me say this, Sav.
Yeah, okay.
The truth is, I think there is some that is this is relevant really, because if I am a footballer and I like to always, I don't take steps without doing some research because I don't want to, mistake that is head to the wrong path. I always like to look, if I'm going to this place, what's going to happen. If I am a footballer, you can be rest assured, fearing that the possibility of Roman calling in the loan and Chelsea going out of business, I wouldn't come. I know they're footballers.
Let me put it this way, okay?
Yeah.
Right? You'll find out in the summer, won't you? Okay? You'll find out in the summer. Right? Players will still come. Do you think? I don't think that. I don't wish to be flippant or anything like that, right? And I don't know what is in the mind of Jules Koundé, but I don't see that stopping him coming. Okay, if we're going to go for him, I don't see that.
I know Mikhail is being objective here, but he's scaring the heck out of me because there's some truth to this.
Go on.
Players who are smart. That is, if the situation escalates, and I am hopeful, not just for a footballing reason, for the lives that are being lost, people being displaced from their homes. And again, we've established that Russians or Ukrainians, they don't want it to escalate. They don't want war. Even a tennis star was asked live on TV, her response was on camera. No war, please. We've talked about Roman Abramovic's daughter's post on Instagram. Clearly shows the Russian people don't really want war. The man in power, in charge, is the person that wants war. So I hope, my point is, I hope it doesn't escalate. I don't want it to escalate. More important, that is because forget about football, putting football aside, lives are being lost, people are being displaced from their homes. And again, it could lead to a global war because the global superpowers are saying something. And we saw the other day, was it Bulgaria that put out the fighter jets? And so my point is, I'm still really concerned here. What Mikhail said here, it hits the nerve that players wouldn't want to join CFC in current political situation. And that's even more true the more the situation escalates. And that's why I'm hoping it doesn't. Sylvia is just correcting, having a conversation with, the Queen is having a conversation with Ty Talks in the chat, telling him Russia will not invade Finland. That's not what we're here to talk about. That's important to understand. And Mikhail again said CFC would want to keep as many academy prospects on books during this possible. Yeah, because anything is the same. The situation, there's no end to it. Hopefully, sanctions against the country that's causing the problem will help bring them to table and find a solution, and so that the whole thing can come to an end.
Well, he's already.
No one knows for sure what response will arise, and Finland is in a close. Yeah, that's by the way. So I think we have to move on now to the Hazard topic at 1:02 minutes to be precise. I know Just Viola wouldn't miss this. She's very, very calculated. So now,
I just want to say
anything you want to say so we can switch to the Hazard topic and talk strictly football.
Let me just say one thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
He will not enter countries, right, that have NATO troops, because if he does that, right, then the countries have to get involved. Nobody has offered to send troops to assist the Ukraine, right? No one's interested in getting involved in that unless he then moves on to a fellow NATO country. This is all about the Ukraine. This is all about him, right, playing the big man, okay, back home. But there's already people rising up against him in Russia, right, against the principle of him invading. He's met resistance from the Ukrainians, right, which were unexpected, right? And only this morning I was looking on YouTube and I was watching Deutsche Welle, which is a German news channel, right? And he's already talking, right, about he's willing to have talks, right, if the Ukraine surrenders. So he's already thinking in his mind that all he's trying to do is, like, what he basically wants to do is avoid NATO and the Ukraine joining NATO, because then that means NATO can put troops on his doorstep.
Yeah, I understand that, but let's not talk politics. Stop, if you don't mind, can we now take it to Eden Hazard?
Yeah, you want me to take it to Eden Hazard? Okay.
Yes, I'll start by asking you this question, and it's 1:04. We switched the topic to Eden Hazard in 1:04, and the question is, can Chelsea fix Eden Hazard?
Yes.
That's the question. Let's start by answering this question here.
Yes, of course we can, right? And I'll tell you why. Okay. I read an interview with a guy you mentioned yesterday's stream, Keylor Navas, the goalkeeper at PSG. Okay. Right. Now, in that interview, he stated that anywhere else other than Real Madrid, okay, Eden Hazard, right, would be a superstar, right, and Gareth Bale would be a superstar, okay. and he explained the reason why he has that assumption, right? Because the medical department at Real Madrid, okay, are only interested in getting players to what they see as being fit and then forcing them to play. So every time he's been
Sorry, can you
injured,
rephrase that again?
right, the medical department of Real Madrid, okay, this has come from Keylor Navas, right, who was at the club. And he said, you heard the other bits, didn't you, about Bale and Hazard being superstars at any other club. Okay.
Yes. That's you. That is you started by saying that Keylor Navas said had Bell and Eden Hazard been at other clubs, they'd be superstars. But go ahead. You were explaining something about
So it's to
the
do with
medical team.
Yeah, the medical team, right, only have one interest, right, is to get the players back running, shall we say running, right? Casual running, okay? We know the football's not casual running, okay?
No, it's not.
It's contact, there's twisting, turning, all these different things. And both of those players, right, are wide men who dribble and take people on, okay? Now, they were rushing, he's of the belief that they rushed back, both Bale and both Hazard, a lot quicker than they should have. Okay. Now we know at Chelsea it's totally different, right? You only have to look at Tuchel, right? The way he wraps players up in cotton wool, right, to protect them, like he's done with Kante, like he did with Kovacic, like he's done with every player, right? Okay. Even Lampard, right, did the same sort of thing with Silva, so that we could get more out of Silva. Now Real Madrid, okay, and rushing people back in, right, when they get injured. On top of that, it's a club, right, that if you don't hit the ground running, straight away, the fans are on your case, they're on your back, they're not very supportive. You said it yesterday, at Chelsea it's totally different, right? There is a love for him, right? Now,
yes, we'll get to that. We'll get to Chelsea. Let's keep it Real Madrid now. And before we continue, I'd like to say big up to Fahim, CFC Fahim, who also has a great channel, and also Tide Talks FC, Chelsea FC, who also has a great channel. And if you're in the chat, if you haven't checked Tide Talks channel and Fahim CFC channel, I urge you to go do so. And I appreciate Just Viola, who also has become a queen here. She's, let me say, Just Viola is the assistant queen to Queen of All Streams to Strip Beer herself, who's the Queen of All Streams. And Michaela, who's been here from the start. Herbert, who's provided some great perspective on the issue. And every other person that have joined, I appreciate you all. You provide great value to the chat. So now, Stav, staying at Real Madrid, why do you think that Hazard did not? Because it's over for him at Madrid, so we can categorically say he didn't succeed. Yes. Why did he not succeed at Madrid?
Because he's always rushed back. He's had an injury, he's rushed back, aggravates an injury, he's out again, rushed back, right? He's never had the chance to settle in and have a rhythm, right, like he did at Chelsea. Okay, he's not protected. The supporters don't back their players. You have to perform every single game. You have to be a superstar. You have to perform. Okay, right? That's the way Real Madrid is. They don't care. You're a commodity. You're a commodity, right?
To them.
To them, yes. To the fans, to the club, right? And because of that, the medical departments are just rushing. Get him back, get him back. Yes, he can run.
Yes, because all they care is the trophies. It doesn't look like they care about the well-being of the player proper. Just deliver, or you're not important to us. Because look at this list here. This comment here from Fahim says, Rodriguez, Bale, Hazard, Ramos near the end, Arsenio, Isco are examples of players at Madrid that have suffered from injuries. Because I think it was either Nichelle or Taron, either of the two who said something about the Madrid medical team not being up to par with Chelsea's. But that's, by the way, another thing that I want to say is one of the reasons why Hazard did not succeed at Madrid is the lack of love. I think Hazard even has a
I said that.
thrives
That's
when
what I said.
when
I
he
said
sees that the people around him love him. When you give him that responsibility, again, my argument isn't that you should build the team around him. Just show him you love him. Just show him I trust in you. I trust you. You can do this, and you can see him firing on all cylinders. But I don't think he got that love at Madrid. I think all they just wanted to see him perform, but they did not give him the support. They did not set the environment to suit. That is the type. That is, they did not. Let me say, create that type of environment where Hazard thrives. The type he has at Chelsea, because we recognize he's capable of pulling a rabbit out of the hat and help a team win a game. But rather at Madrid, all they do is question his abilities, saying he's fat on Spanish national TV, calling him names. That didn't help. That didn't help. And he came in as a big signing for them. Just give. I would argue had he when he joined Madrid, if had they given him that is the responsibility of taking the penalties, that would show him, okay, we care about you, we know what you're capable of doing. But rather, Ramos started taking penalties for them. So to him, I think to some measure will be like, these people didn't really trust me. So do you think now if he joins Chelsea, let's move now from Madrid to Chelsea, what will make a difference? Because you already said we can fix him. How are Chelsea going to fix him if in fact the rumors that Chelsea are negotiating a loan deal to bring Hazard back to Chelsea, how are Chelsea going to fix him?
Well, it's a combination of things, isn't it? Everything you mentioned, everything I mentioned, right? Him being happy in his environment, right? He's going to come back, okay? And a lot of the players there already know him, right? There's no settling in. There's no like going in and saying like players, because Real Madrid have a toxic, right, atmosphere. You remember like when Jose Mourinho was there, half the players, okay, liked Jose and bought into Jose's thing. He dropped Casillas for Navas, right? And it instantly divided the team. Okay. Now, if the team's divided and you've got like little cliques, right? These players there, this players there. There's no proper environment there, right? Eden wants to be somewhere where the atmosphere is good, where the atmosphere is like you look at our training ground, right? You look at our training ground when they're training, and you see the environment, you see the togetherness, right? You see all that. And if he comes back, he's not going to get any grief like he did by going to Real Madrid and having Galacticos there thinking to themselves, why has he brought him in, right? And then if he does get injured, it'll take his time coming back, okay? Because we have a squad which can cover for that as well, okay? Now, he was happiest at Chelsea, right? The last 2 months, whatever it is, he's been fit, but he's been left on the bench. That's Ancelotti's choice, okay? That's the manager's choice. That's Ancelotti's choice, right? He's obviously bought into.
So now, can you bring it to how can Chelsea fix him? Then I have a very important a comment here from Stripbeard that the Queen herself that I'd like us to talk about regarding his salary. So how can Chelsea fix him? What will make a difference for him at Chelsea? Because that seems to be the point. He's coming back to Chelsea to, reignite that spark. Sorry?
We'll go back to something we discussed before on another show, right? It's World Cup year, right? He wants to go to the World Cup. He wants to be important to Belgium, right? That's not going to happen in Real Madrid. Now, he can take the money and go to Newcastle, be
And
unhappy.
you could argue also that Belgium wants him to start firing on all cylinders because he's
Yeah,
a very
yeah,
important player to them.
yeah, that's right.
They will be nowhere near the level that they played at the last World Cup if Hazard isn't there.
Yeah,
That's the truth. But go ahead.
Plus, he was the captain, right? So it's important to him, that aspect as well. Okay, right?
Mm-hmm.
That aspect's important to him as well, right? Now, if he goes to Newcastle, it could just turn out to be another Real Madrid because you've got a club with new big ideas, right?
Mm-hmm.
Once this season's over with, they're going to go back to that again. The same pressure's going to be on him, right, to produce like it was at Real Madrid, right? The fans up there are crazy. The difference up there, the Newcastle to Real Madrid, will be the fans. And you might get some love and things like that, right? But will they give him the time to get back into his stride? Okay, right? At Chelsea, he's coming in, he's happy, he's playing with players who know him, who know his attributes, who know how to give him the ball, right? Who know how to run off the ball when he's on the ball, things like that, right? There's a chemistry there already with the players, right? Now, in our current system, you know my feelings of the system.
No, let's not go into system.
No, what I'm trying to say is it can work in the current system because he's so adaptable, right? So I told you where we were playing 2-10s and there was no width allowed. Now we've started allowing the width from the 2-10s as well. Okay, right? Now, if he comes in and he's playing number 10, say Pulisic is on the bench, he's playing left, he's going to be allowed to go wide, right? There's no thing that's going to stop him playing. And at Real Madrid, he has to play the way they want him to play. Okay, right? They have to play the system they want him to play, right? And we don't know how they wanted him to play. We don't know, like, if they wanted him to be his natural role or whether they tried to change him. I'm not going to pretend. I haven't watched much of Real Madrid. I don't watch the Spanish league, right? That much. I do watch some. Now, only three weeks ago, he scored his only goal in the time in this season, right?
For a while, yeah.
Yeah, but what a goal. He took he got the ball nearly halfway line, took two or three defenders on, put the ball into the back of the net from a difficult angle. The guy still has it, right?
He still has it in him, yep. So the question is now, let's bring it down to Street Beer's, the Queen's comments, which is about his salary.
I've just answered that.
The question is,
I've answered that. He can, if he's more worried about the salary, he'll go to Newcastle, won't he? Okay, right? Or whoever's giving him the salary.
You see why here, and thank you again. You see why it's good to have you. That's well said. And the Queen, Street Beer, I hope this comment from staff answers your question. Staff says if Eden Hazard is more worried about the salary, he'd go to Newcastle because they'd be willing to give him even 500 because he will make a huge difference. Then for him to, even if the rumors are true, that is if the rumors are true, the fact that it's been rumored that Chelsea are talking with his camp negotiating a loan deal for him means his priority is to start playing football regularly, is to play for Chelsea, is to play, that is just rediscover his form, rediscover his spark, rediscover things that define Eden Hazard that played for Chelsea Football Club. And if you ask me, I'd say knowing Eden Hazard and how much he loves football, I think he's the kind of player that wouldn't mind even taking a pay cut up to, going back to what he was earning at Chelsea to put his career back on track. I think he's that type of player. So you make a great point there.
Yeah, he has two options, doesn't he? He stays where he is, sits on the bench, takes his 400k, right? Never plays, right? Then if Belgium call him up, he sits on the bench. He's lost his captaincy, right? Okay. If he's not playing for Real Madrid, Belgium are not going to risk him either. They need to know, like, they're going to choose players based on what they do for the club. So he can stay at Real Madrid. He can take 400,000 a week, get rich, right? Which he already is. He's already rich. Now,
but if he does that,
he's
practically
already
his
turned.
career is over.
Yeah, but coach, right? Coach, right? He's already turned Newcastle down.
So
He's
it's not
turned
really
them
about
down.
money. And I'm not gonna act like I didn't hear
It's
you
not
call
about
me
money.
couch. I heard you call me
Well,
couch. So we'll
I know I
fight
meant
over that
coach.
later.
I meant coach. Yeah, we'll deal with that
No,
later.
I
Right?
know, but
He's
that's
turned
by
them
the way.
down.
And see why I
He's
told
turned them
you
down.
that you and Fahim, CFC Fahim will make a good pair on his one of his shows. See, look at this comment here. Hazard has taken injections to get back onto the pitch, and that's only at Real Madrid. That's why I told you Fahim is very objective, and that's one of the things I love about him the most. So now let's talk about where
Nothing
does the
new.
fans
That's
their
nothing new.
love for Hazard?
The injections are nothing new. They were doing that in
Yeah,
the
I know,
70s.
but again, they do it too much there because, like you've established before, their priority is to get the players on the pitch. They do
Yeah.
not care too much about the players' well-being. Like he's mentioned a few, Arsenio and others, and also what's his name, Gareth Bell. And you mentioned something that Kilo Nava said that had Hazard and Gareth Bell being at other clubs, they would be superstars, and that's the truth. But that's by the way. Now, where does the love
Can I ask you
from the
something?
fans come in?
Can I ask you something?
Yes.
Have you seen the picture of Gareth Bale's legs when he went to Real Madrid and now?
I haven't seen the difference. No.
There was a picture in the media and on social media, right, where you could see all the muscle and the power in his legs when he went there. Now there's barely any muscle. It's mostly bone and flesh, right? But firm flesh. Obviously, he's not fat, so he's not going to be dangling flesh like you have in a fat person, right? Because of the way they rushed him back, because of the thing. Now, like I said, when you go to Real Madrid, right, okay, the fans expect you instantly. They will turn out in their numbers, watch you juggle the ball, right, applaud you, cheer you, clap you, right? If you have a bad game, the very first game, if you have a bad game, they're on your back straight away, right? So the guy's there, he's been forced to come back quickly, he's got abuse from the crowds, manager hasn't been picking him, he's in an environment where he's not happy. We all know why he went. He went there because he thought he had to go to Spain to win the Ballon d'Or, right? If he comes back in a happy environment where the supporters love him, where they will show that love and that support, right, he will perform, because he cannot have just lost that ambition for Ballon d'Or just like that, right? So if he's coming on loan, it's a no-brainer. And if he's coming with taking a pay cut, or with Real Madrid, right, paying some of the salary, okay, right, which reduces the cost to us, then it's a no-brainer, because you have nothing to lose, right? And if it doesn't work, he goes back and they can try and sell him somewhere else, right? But I believe that in the right environment, where he's happy, with players he's happy with players who know him, right, within a club he loves, and he does love it, right? He does love it, and he said that one day he'll come back anyway. If we offer him a deal, he'll come back. But the only unfortunate thing is, I'm now reading that we've apparently agreed a deal with Dembele's agent, right? But that doesn't mean that it's done. It's just an agreement financially, right? If Xavi can show him that he wants him there and why he wants him there.
Just a second while I say, sorry, big up to DJ Saab. DJ Saab, always happy to see you around, DJ. And DJ, you and I got to book a session. This week is fully booked up. And for next week, I think I have 2 more days left to fill in guests. And I'd like to have you as a guest in one of the days in the coming week. But always nice to see you, brother. You know I love you and I love talking football with you. Matt from CFC Chat, I love you, brother. Always good to see you around. And of course, the Queen, I've said hello to you. And of course, these loan moves are garbage. Well, we'll see until the player comes. We'll see, and hopefully, for me, I'd like to see him, and that's the truth. Mikael, look forward to the website, Chelsea. Yeah, we'll talk about that. So start round off so that I can give those in the chat a preview of the Chelsea Perspective website blog, which launches in 11 days. Go ahead.
Well, you want me to say? Like I've said what I've
so,
said. The loan
so overall, you think
I've seen I saw the comments regarding loan moves being garbage. Okay, I saw that comment. Why are they garbage? Why? You get the chance.
And here's the thing. Let me answer this question on the screen. Glenn says, we loan him. He starts performing again. What do you think is going to happen? Real either wants him back or won't let him go for less than 100 million. Here's the truth. How many years does Eden Hazard have on his contract right now?
I don't know, 2, I think.
Yeah. So Madrid, if they try to take him back, I don't think he would happily go back there. Because Madrid, by the way, wants Eden Hazard off their wages.
It's the wage bill.
Exactly.
The wage bill.
Exactly, because they want to bring in Kylian Mbappe, and he's not gonna come on the cheap. Even if it comes for free, they will be paying him a lot weekly. So they want Hazard off their table, and I don't think Chelsea will be stupid to go for that loan and not sign some sort of contract that is not have some sort of clause in the contract and saying if we want to keep him, we keep him at this price.
Yeah, there'll be an option to buy.
Exactly. There will be an option to buy, and the deal is deal. So, Glenn, I don't see the possibility of when he comes back and start doing well, Madrid comes and says, oh, okay, we want him back. Just like, no, it doesn't work like that. That was why, for instance, a prime example is we had issues in the left wing back position, and then we wanted to bring Emerson Palmieri back, and the club said no. We went on 3 occasions. We even had to. We tried to pay them, and they said no. So a contract, Chelsea aren't stupid. Chelsea are smart enough to say, okay, if we take him on loan, and if we like what we see, we're buying him for this amount, and it will be on paper sealed. So if they want to keep him, they will keep him. Madrid cannot do that. I am fine at this moment. I hope you're brilliant. This is just Street the Queen exchanging pleasantries with DJ Sab. And if you're in the chat, please do me a favor. I'd like to take this moment before I go into showing you guys the Chelsea Perspective website or blog that launches in 11 days. I appreciate it if you can. Street Beer has been great to this channel, but today she want to be the one I want to thank specifically for always being available to moderate the inputs in the chat. Whenever I reach out to her, she's always happy to help. So please just take a second to help me say thank you to the Street Beer, who I call the queen of all streams. I appreciate you all streams. I appreciate you so much, Street Beer. I just know how much I love you. And hopefully someday I'll get to meet you in person and buy you a bottle of beer if you do drink that. Now, I'm going to go straight to showing you guys the website, and I started at 128. So before I start that, the verdict is Eden Hazard will be good at Chelsea and everything will be fine, right?
Yeah, and the thing is, if we do a deal with an option to buy with a set fee. That's what we've done with Bakayoko. That's what we've done with Emerson, right? That's what we did with Mario Palisic, who we sold to Atlanta, right? You negotiate an option to buy, not obligation, an option, and you agree on a price, and any loan fee you're paying while he's on loan comes off that price. It comes off that price. So it reduces that anyway.
Understood. So DJ Star 17, I'll reach out to you via Twitter. Now let's go to the website, and we started for the website at 129. Now, first of all, if you go to the website now, I'll put the link in the chart. It is just the same as the name of the That's fine. I love doing it. Now, here I have the link to the website in the chat. Now, if you go to the website, I'm just gonna do it like this. So the only thing you see is the comments. The only thing you see is sorry, let me hide the banner too. Is the website. If you look at it, it still has coming soon on the screen, but you could click on subscribe, put your email address, and hit notify me. That way, whenever we release the Chelsea Perspective blog releases a new article, you get a notification. And I'm going to log in to walk you through what's on the website at the moment. And because I am a web developer, I'm developing the blog myself. So I'm going to log in now. And I hope you guys out there cannot see my password. So this is the login page for the website. Here you can see the Chelsea Perspective logo here. You can see the login form here. So I'm going to log in. But remember what you do on the home page, because you cannot see the website proper, the design at this point, because I still that is the coming soon page is what you will see, because I don't want the public to see the public to see it. So now this is the website, how the home page is still loading. It will load fully in a bit. So for the home page as it is right now, you can switch to dark mode. Just give it a second. So the internet is a bit slow. So this is the home page as it is. So you can switch to dark mode, and it switches like this. And this is, if you've been following Chelsea Perspective, you will know the brand always has the clouds here and the peach also. So from on the home page of the Chelsea Perspective website or blog, you have where we will have the section where we'll have breaking news here. And from after the section, breaking news section, we have news, the article section. And then we also have the video section on the page. And then we have the calendar that shows you everything that's scheduled on Chelsea Perspective. And then also you have the videos page, which you can switch to. Then you have the videos that are available here. You can watch them on the side, or you can go to YouTube and watch them. We have the About page where you read about Chelsea Perspective and all that. We have for every post, there is the comment form that allows you to say what you want to say about the article you read. And then we have the contact form here where you can reach out to Chelsea Perspective or something. Then I'm going to go back to the home page and show you. It has a search feature. If you want to search for something, you just click on this guy here, put in what you want to search for, and search for it. Let me just search for Ziyech and see if I have anything on Ziyech. So it says one result found for Ziyech, which is Chelsea versus Crystal Palace, probably in the right that's the write-up for this article. There's somewhere Ziyech's name is somewhere there. So that's about it. What I have to show you right now. It will be fully ready in about 11 days, and most definitely it will launch. And I think I will host a live show to launch the website. Again, I've shown you before, you can switch from dark mode to the light mode, and that's about it for the website. So Stav, back to you. Any final thoughts? Let me know any final thoughts so that we can round off the show. And thank you for all those in the chat. Yeah, Mika, thank you very much for saying that. Yeah, thank you. And again, like I said, I'm a web developer, I'm a programmer, so I am programming the website myself. So I think I will wait for Staff for a bit to come. Thank you very much, Sylvia, and thank you, so that we can round up the show. And if Staff can now come back, then I will round up the show on my own. Thank you, the Queen, and thank you very much, Mika, who says the website looks dope. Okay, Stav is back. So Stav, any final thoughts so that we can round up the show for the day?
Yeah, I'm not concerned about the situation regarding Roman. I don't have any qualms about trying Eden Hazard coming back. If you go and sign Dembele, his injury record's just as bad, right? His form at Barca isn't that much better than Eden's was. He's been hit and miss. Right? You're going to bring a new player in who nobody knows apart from the manager. He then has to settle in, and we've got all that stuff again. Why not just bring back somebody we already know? And for me, loan is not a bad way to find out if he's still got it on. And he's going to want to prove himself both to us and to Belgium. So he's already turned Newcastle down. So I don't have any major worries about him. He's going to, if it was about the money, he would have gone to Newcastle and got his backside out of Real Madrid and then gone to another club. But he obviously wants to go somewhere where he's going to feel happy. I don't think Italy's a good enough place for him either. So that's it. Eden's not a problem for me. Roman isn't a problem for me. Ukraine, I'm sure, is going to get sorted out. It's just unfortunate that people are dying.
Yes.
But a lot of them are Russian as well, and Russians are not going to put up with that for too long. It could end up backfiring on Putin. Could end up backfiring on him. God bless everybody in Ukraine and Russia, the ones who don't want that war, right? Hopefully it'll finish quick. And don't forget to tune into Chelsea Perspective every day, morning coffee, and hopefully I'll be back next Saturday with another special.
Yes,
Okay?
yes. It's on Saturdays we can always go as long as we want, but for the weekdays it will always be 1 hour or even less than 1 hour. In some cases, it depends on the topic. It will be 30 minutes, and gradually we are restructuring the daily show, which is called the Blue Morning Show. We're restructuring it so that it will be a live news session where we interact with the people in the chat, talk about the events of the day, and I think you're going to love it. So, Stav, I appreciate you finding time to be the guest on this episode. Go ahead,
Don't forget, every game there's a preview where we assess the team selections and how we see the game going. Right, that's before every game, an hour. But I'm going to try and convince Coachila to make it an hour and a quarter before, so we can finish a bit earlier.
All right.
But still have the time to.
Yeah. And again, please don't forget to check out the Chelsea Perspective website. I have the link in the chat. Please subscribe so that whenever we release articles, some great articles with some of the best writers you know in the Chelsea community are in works. So you should be ready for it by subscribing in the channel, and so that you don't miss anything. And I'd like to show my appreciation to Just Viola, to Street Beer, to CFC for him, my friend and brother, to Street Beer, her queen herself, I've said there, and also Just Viola, who's become a queen herself. We had Tide Talks, DJ Saf 17. Always nice to see you here. Glenn, good to see you. Matt, everybody that have come or maybe have left, and also Phantom of Many Topics, my good brother, who hopefully I'll get to meet him soon because he lives in a neighboring state. I appreciate you all. And again, I hope to see everyone tomorrow for tomorrow's. I think I have to decide whether Blue Morning will still hold tomorrow. It depends on that is how long after the Blue Morning comes. I think our game is around 12 p.m. here, so probably Blue Morning will still hold tomorrow. So again, I appreciate you all. You provide great value to the stream. And yes, to beer, yes, I will find a way to make sure you get the beer. You know you're the queen, and I will aim not to disappoint you. Thank you, guys, and that's it for today's Blue Morning. And I hope you all have a wonderful day. God bless you all, and bye.
Bye.